mentorship for them, right? And thank you so much for this initiative. And uh, one thing, like, I'll not be doing justice if I don't mention Seema ma'am here, but you have already done that. But uh, she has been both a role model and a strong mentor for me throughout these years, right? So when she reached out to me over LinkedIn to basically go ahead and establish this and let's go in and doing this initiative, I was super impressed and I got excited. I said, let's go ahead and do that because this is something which I've been craving for since many years, right? And I'm really appreciate the way she's conducting it, the way she's so enthusiastic about it and doing it, right? And this is all, by the way, for the students, helping them with the mentorship, helping them with the jobs, helping them in understand the market, what's going on in the corporate industry, right? So thank you so much, Seema ma'am, for doing this, for inviting me over for this interactive session, and thank you, Nishkarsh, for staying at the back end and doing all the heavy lifting for us, right? Uh, I'll quickly move on to first. I'll just quickly cover the pandemic part also. Like, guys, we are in the currently we all are in the pandemic world, right? And I would like to request everyone to stay safe, follow all the guidelines, precautionary measures, because this is something which none of us has ever expected in the past, right? And I'm extremely grateful to each one of us for surviving through these tough times, right? Let's agree that none of us was prepared for this, right? None of us ever expected this kind of a disease will come to India and we all be basically will not be allowed to move outside our houses and everything will start moving towards digital, right? So this is something which is a unique situation for all of us, and a humble request in this situation that don't get hard on yourself. I understand that there are certain times when we keep asking ourselves, am I for myself or my family or my career paths, right? Or for anyone who is in need right now, right? Let's not doubt our efforts and keep doing what we are doing right now, right? We can, whatever we plan to be, save and help people around the world, right? And request you guys to please feel free to reach out to me if you feel that I can also contribute a bit in any way possible, helping your family or friends, right? uh, Now moving on to the what we are here for, right? So moving on to the next part to it, I'll quickly jump on the agenda of the session today, right? I will each one of you to make this session as interactive as possible, right? Don't hesitate to ask any kind of a question from me, whatever is right now at the top of your mind, right? Let's try to utilize this time more from a discussion perspective and let's try to understand what goes on into your mind. How can we basically resolve it? How can we basically move forward together, right? So don't feel hesitate, ask whatever you want to. Nobody is judging you. Nobody is saying that what kind of question it is, right? Please feel free to do that, right? During this session, I will quickly try to cover two parts. One is my career journey, what I have been done and what are the learnings for me. The second, I'll be basically wanted to address your questions, your doubts, which is the top of the mind for you guys, right? I understand there are mixed batch of people which are here currently, which is like first year, second year, and third year. I had been through that journey in the past, right? So I understand what might be 10% that's going on into your mind right now, right? Feel free to interrupt me in between and say, Vikas, no, I don't agree with you, or I agree with you, or how to do it, right? Let's just keep it as interactive as possible, right? And one caveat here, right? To make it more interactive, I will ask Seema ma'am to basically go and select at a later stage. I will personally provide mentorship to one among all of you, where we can get on a call and understand your entire career journey, what your aspirations are. And if you know any of the top three companies where you feel you want to be a best representation of them, please feel free to reach out to me and let's try to understand where applications in companies, right? Leave it up to Seema ma'am and the team to basically decide who that person is to who basically helps us today in making this session as interactive as possible, right? Okay, so I'll quickly present my screen first. Give me a minute. Is my screen visible to everybody?
Yeah, it's visible.
so much, ma'am. Quickly, so one thing is that I have done something right, which is like how I have done it. One part is like what were the learnings for me when I was doing it, right? So there are two parts to it. So I will try to divide my journey into multiple parts. This is the kind of learnings, this is the kind of experience that I had in the past, right? Now, if you see on the top left side, which is the pre-2008 era, before I joined Kirodimal College, uh, I was basically, the learning for me in that era was completely like that you shouldn't, as a person, expect yourself to know everything in life, right? You can keep learning as per your interest and requirements, right? Understand that we are students for life, right? And I basically born and brought up in a tier 2, tier 3 city, and I'm sure like many of you are from tier 2, tier 3 cities right now. I am from Patiala, right? I have studied in a state board affiliated Hindi medium school till class 10th. It will be very difficult for you guys to adjust with that, but that's the reality, right? And I started learning English as a language after switching to the central board, and I'm still learning, by the way. I'm still learning the English language. You will still find a lot of grammatical errors when I'm speaking to you guys, right? And many things that have me felt underconfident at a lot of stages of my life due to the fluency in the English language. But I never held myself back when I'm expressing myself, right? That's something which have helped me always to move forward. Uh, Before the Kirodimal College, before I joined Kirodimal College in 2008, right? So quick learning for everybody that you shouldn't expect yourself to know everything. Whatever is required, you will learn over the course. You will do best. It's not, nothing is impossible. You can do, if something is required, it's easy to learn, right? It's not something which is difficult. If your dedication is there, you can go ahead and do that, right? When I joined Kirodimal College, right? When I joined Kirodimal College in 2008, coming from Patiala, as a Patiala city, right? My two takeaways during these 3 years of tenure in the Kirodimal College were: one, stop cribbing, right? Look at the opportunities around you. Look over around you. Whatever means that is available, how can you capitalize those means and make the best out of it, right? And think beyond the obvious things, and don't restrict yourself, and sky's the limit, right? Can you basically utilize the available means and make the best out of it, right? And when you're thinking it, think innovatively, right? For example, like all of you, right? I also applied multiple TU colleges. Then I finally joined Kirodimal College, right? I realized that there were multiple opportunities in other college, right, which could have benefited both the college and students, right? For example, I was in second year, right? One final year student reached out to me and asked me that, Vikas, is it possible to build something like a commerce department in a college, which was not at all there. I'm talking about 2009, right? I used to feel very bad because I was staying in a PG outside, and a lot of people came to me saying that there is already a commerce department in a college, people from Hansraj College, from SRCC, right? We didn't have any, right? Now, what's the next step for us? Next for us is, can we go ahead and build it up, right? When this guy reached out to me, right, one of my seniors, we immediately said, yes, that's a great idea. Let's go ahead and create something out of it, right? And we became the founding members of Commerce Society in the year 2009, right? Another example of it is the placement cell, right? I was a member of, by the way, Central Place, and from there, like, why can't we basically go ahead and do some in placements in our own college, which is Kirodimal, right? To have
Your voice is breaking, Vikas. You will have
can
to
we go ahead?
you will have to repeat whatever you were saying. Your voice is breaking.
I'm audible.
Now you are audible, but again, some interruptions are there.
Okay. Okay. Am I audible? I'll just pause in for a while. Audible right now?
Yeah. There is again,
Give me a minute.
gap. There is again, there is a gap. Please bear with us, all the participants. Have patience, and I think it's a great opportunity for us to listen to Vikas. He was like, when he was in the college, he was very dynamic person, and he has been maintaining his enthusiasm till date. I'm very happy about you, Vikas.
Thank you so much. Apologies for the consistent disturbance over the internet connection. Okay, I'll just quickly represent my screen. Give me a minute. Is it visible to everyone now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So, what I was talking about was like there were two parts to it, right? One is Nishkarsh also spoke about Commerce Society, another one is the placement set, right? When I was part of it, right, I realized that when I used to say, by the way, outside college in PG, right, like many of you, I used to have friends from other different colleges like Hans Raj, SRCC, right? When I used to talk to those friends, they used to have Commerce Society, right? They used to have PlaceCom, which was like extremely active and other things, right? So we used to feel bad that why something of this sort is not very active in our college, right? Uh, when somebody reached out to me on the Commerce Society in my senior final year, he said that can we both of us build together, right? I was extremely liking the idea that somebody is thinking in those directions and immediately went forward, right? And I was among the 6 people who basically ended up founding Commerce Society in the year 2009, right? Now, after that, once we did it in the third year of my college, we continued that, and now I'm extremely happy to see that still continued, right? And the another part is a placement cell where I also realized that there are colleges in Delhi University which had great placements in the past, right? And our college used to have only 4 to 5 companies. I'm talking about the year 2009-10, right? Then we decided that can we build something in our colleges also? Then I basically utilized placement cell experience, right? Then I built my team all together. My team really helped me in building that. And in the year of 2010-11, after so much of efforts, we invited 25 plus companies from 5 companies in the previous year. And we got almost 120 plus students placed in that year, right? So that's the kind of my only takeaway for you guys is like there will be things in the college which you start saying that this is something which is not working out for our college or other colleges are better in that. But that's not something which college will change. That's something which you have to change yourself. So figure out KMC as a college, right? If something is missing, right, you guys have an opportunity to go ahead and make it, right? It's basically treated like a kind of thing which is there in front of you and you can change it, right? And if you end up building something while in your tenure, you might see that in a continued profession happening for the another 10 years. And you will feel proud once you look back saying that you have done something for the college in the past, right? And that's the kind of, by the way, motivation that I also have when I look back and see that this all the professions, all the traditions are still continued and it's keep going on, right? uh, this is about Kirodimal College journey. By the way, I was also part of Dramatic Society during the college, but for a very short tenure in the first year of college. Then, due to the low bandwidth, low amount of time availability, I started moving my efforts more towards societies, more towards how can we basically build placements in a college. So moving on to the next one, which is like when I passed out from the college, I was fortunate enough to basically have a placements in one of the top companies in the college, which is Futures First, right? And my learning in that 2 years of tenure with the Futures First were that keep working and be patient with the results, right? Be flexible and open to the newer ideas, right? Keep pushing yourself to try new things. You never know when something will get clicked for you, right? The reason why I'm saying these lines are not because I have learned it from somewhere. It is something that I've experienced myself during that 2 year of tenure, right? How many of you right now are aware about a company called Oracle? You can raise your hand. There is a feature of raise hand at the bottom, or you guys can type it in the chat box also if anybody knows Oracle. Okay, I'm taking it that nobody knows about Oracle. Okay, I'll ask a very different question. How many of you are right now aware about Oyo Hotels? Yes. So I'll give you a quick glimpse of it. Thank you so much for participation. So basically, Oyo is a brand, right? When it started with a company called Oracle, right? So I got the opportunity to work with Ritesh directly in the year 2013 when Oracle was starting, right? We used to have email called vikas@oracle.com. So Oyo was never in place, by the way. It started with Oracle. I was among one of the founding members there. I Now, why I'm saying you have to be patient is because I wasn't patient enough during that time in 2013. And I left the company on one single thing, that I had a small disagreement on the percentage share of the company because I was paying money from my own pocket that point of time while I was working there, right? So I didn't have that kind of a, say, risk capacity, or I didn't have patience to basically stick with that company. And the next year, I saw news where they received 700 CR of funding in 2014, right? So the idea is to keep working hard. If you believe in something, just keep working on it, and things will automatically figure it out, right? It's not something that uh, immediately something will come upon you and you'll immediately end up doing something. It has to be a consistent effort, and you will see after years and years that you will end up getting the results out of it, right? Maybe not in what the way you expect it to be, but in a very different way also, which will help you in a long term, not in a very short term, right? So my point is that when I was working with Futures First also, right, I resigned Futures First, then I joined Oracle. And after 2 months, when things didn't work out, I left the company, and I was like completely lost. I don't know what to do in my life, right? And trust me, like I took a break, right? People have a very of this thing that nobody can take a break, nobody can sit free, right? No, that's not the case in the industry. If you want time for yourself, right? If you want yourself to basically wait for another year or so to figure out what you'd want to do in your life, that's completely okay, right? Don't think at the back of the mind that when you will go out for the interviews in the corporate world, they'll ask you why there is a gap in your resume, right? You can always justify it that you were taking time to understand and figure out what exactly you wanted to do in life, right? And I did that, by the way. I took almost a year and a half break where I was not doing anything. I was just studying. I was just studying all the time. I was just reading whatever I liked, right? That's how I spent my 1.5 year when I left Futures First in 2013, right? That's when I got triggered saying, because let's go ahead and appear for MBA exams, right? Because I thought I might want to again rejoin the corporate world. And I cracked Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, right? The story is like how I cracked Indian Institute of Foreign Trade. Like, did that 1 year of break help me or not, right? My point is, I cracked IIFT only because of one simple reason, right? Because I was studying a lot, right? When I was in Futures First, I was completely focusing on analytical roles. I was completely focusing on what exactly goes into the stock markets, right? What are the tools? What are the trades, right? One part is the job expects you to do something. Another part is you keep learning over the period, right? So my focus was completely on the learning all the time. Even, in fact, today also, I feel I stick to one single fact that every day that I spend in the system with myself, I at least should end up learning one thing every day, a new thing basically, which I was not aware in the past, right? So that's something which helped me in the past, which is still helping me currently, right? So uh, the overall learning for me is that, because please go ahead, and in fact, a suggestion to all of you: keep working hard, be patient with the results, don't get into things easily, don't fall into things very easily, hold yourself back, understand what you want to do in life, then goes ahead and do something, right? Don't just do something just because society is telling you to do something, right? It should be your own decision where you are comfortable and you want to do something. And trust me, in the corporate world also, people respect your views, your opinions. When you go in front of the interviewer, go in front of the interviewer like you are going to discuss something with them, right? Don't feel that that they are giving you a great opportunity. Feel it that you are going to invest your career with them, right? You are going to give your entire life, you are going to give your 10 to 12 hours every day to that company. So you should first know what exactly this company is going to expect from you, right? And if you are comfortable, then only go ahead and apply in those companies and spend that much of time for yourself as well as the interviewer's time, right? And this funda, by the way, has worked for me in the last multiple number of interviews that I have given and I have taken, right? Both the ways together, right? Come feel yourself first comfortable, then goes ahead and all in and do it, right? And by the way, in 2015, like when I joined Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, right? During those 2 years of tenure in MBA, I had a very, very different experience while I was doing my master's, right? What I realized in three simple points: A, preferably you join any MBA college only once you have a good years of experience, right? The reason why when I'm saying good, the definition of good could be 1 year, 1.5 year, 2 year, depending upon your grasping capabilities, right? Why I'm saying this is because MBA as a course, right, really helps you in connecting with the multiple daily office situations that you might not be even aware about if you will directly jump into MBA after your graduation, right? And you will not end up learning the practical world which is there for you after MBA, right? And my 2 years of Futures First experience really, really helped me in MBA in learning multiple other aspects, if which I wouldn't have never learned if I would have been say never had that kind of experience in Futures First. So personal suggestion that work with some company of your choice for at least a year and a half to two, and then goes ahead and appear for an MBA exam and goes for your master's at a later stage. When you are in MBA, right, treat your mid-course internship, which is like after 1 year, as the most important learning experience for you, right? Because the 2 months of internship, which is 60 days in MBA, are the most important part, where you will learn a lot in terms of practical and what is expected in the industry, which might be different from the 2 years that you spent immediately after graduation, right? So consider that in 60 days internship as the core of it, like which you don't want to miss out and give your 100% to it in terms of learning new things, right? And when you are in MBA, right, I'm sure like most of you are must be planning to go ahead and do some MBA immediately after Kirodimel also, right? When you are in that college, right, consider that college as a networking. Uh, Consider that college that you want to network as much as you can. And corporate is, by the way, guys, all about networking, right? Networking is something which is 90%. Rest everything will get aligned. Rest everything you will keep doing, which is the regular day-to-day work, right? You have to build a network if you want to get successful in this entire universe, right? Now push yourself to get part of all the competitions that goes at in MBA college. The reason I'm not saying that you have to win or lose is a separate thing. It basically teaches you how to work as a team, which is super important when you goes out for the interviews in any corporate company, be it Flipkart, be it Amazon, be it Google, or any other MNCs that we talk about. Team player is something which is super, super important for any manager when you're there. And a lot of you, in fact, might face a lot of questions also from a lot of interviews in the future. Would you prefer an individual role or would you prefer a team player role, right? There is no right or wrong answer to it, right? But one thing that you have to definitely get comfortable with is the teamwork, right? Because that's something which is preferable everywhere in every company, because companies size are increasing now. By the way, Google has globally more than 1.3 lakh employees now, right? If a company loses in terms of team, if they find somebody who is not a team player, they might not even function tomorrow, right? Because they have to have a cross-functional team collaborations available across Google. Then that's the only way that the company could function. And it is more important to work cross collaboratively when you're working in these MNCs, right? Uh, these are few of the overall my experiences. And then a lot of you have asked that, because how have you joined Amazon? I was never, by the way, prepared for doing sales in my life. I was a completely financial guy. How I went into sales is because one fine day in MBA college, Amazon came and started interviewing me for internship for the business development role. They find me a great fit, and I was the only one in IIFT that got selected for the sales internship in Amazon. Right. That time I realized that I am a salesperson, and it's not something which tomorrow you people think that I am not a salesperson. No, you are, right? At one point or the other, you guys have to be salesperson. Whether you are selling yourself to the company, whether you are selling your projects to the company, whether you are selling as an entrepreneur your ideas to the other investors, right? You have to be salesperson at one point of time in the future, right? So that time I realized that yes, there is a possibility that I could try this new field, and I'm flexible in doing it. And when I did it, I started liking it. And now I'm a part of sales from the last 4.5 years. And Amazon and Google are basically the two companies where I'm doing these roles right now, right? And a lot of you have also have the question that how did you shift from Amazon to Google? This is, I would like to thank LinkedIn for it, right? Many of you, I keep receiving, by the way, requests from a lot of people in Kyodrimal College on my LinkedIn network, and I keep accepting all, right? Because I know that this is a very, very strong platform, guys, right? Take this platform very, very seriously. Google HR reached out to me over LinkedIn, right? Asking, Vikas, there's a role in Google available. Do you want to interview for those roles? I never applied for Google. This is something which is completely coming from LinkedIn. Treat that platform as one biggest networking sites for you, which will basically hold up for you, which will basically help you throughout your life. And by the way, I'm active on LinkedIn since the year 2010. I'm not available on any social media platforms. I only operate on LinkedIn, and I spend almost half an hour on LinkedIn every day, right? It's super, super important to spend time in networking, and that's what I do over LinkedIn. Right. So a quick caveat, a quick suggestion or recommendation. If you don't have a LinkedIn account today, go and prepare that LinkedIn account, start networking. When you are sending requests to somebody, mention some context to it. Don't send requests without any kind of a notes to them. They might not like it. They might not reject it because you are not setting any context. Tell them that this is something you want that person to be part of your network because you want to learn XYZ skills from that person, right? It would be great if that person could help you with a 15 minutes mentorship or a 10 minutes mentorship or anything that he could provide it over the email to basically help you guys in reading something. That's how you build network across years, and it is not going to happen overnight, by the way. This will take time. This will happen slowly and gradually, but this, you guys will be there once you start doing it from today onwards. Nobody was there basically to guide us during that time. Digital was not in fact that big also at that point of time, right? But today you guys have all kind of a guidances available. You guys have mentorship, you have people, you know all these platforms. So utilize it to the fullest capacity that is available to you, right? That is all about myself. That is all about my learning. That is all about what I have done in the past. And thank you so much for giving me this time. Thank you so much for listening to me so patiently. I know that the guest lectures in the past had been super difficult for me also while I was part of MBA college. It used to be a monologue kind of a thing, which I never wanted it to be. Uh, that's the reason, like, I'm giving back some time to you guys to go ahead and ask any kind of a questions that you have at the top of your mind. I'll be happy to have a discussion on that right away.
Thank you so much for that, Vikas. So, I mean, obviously, that was an amazing journey. And so, we did this thing. So, before this talk, I actually floated a Google form, that's right. And we just sent it out so that we could collect questions. And I mean, it was astounding the responses we got. And there was, really good questions we had. So, I mean, if you don't mind, can we pick those questions up now?
Yeah, please go ahead and discuss. I'll be happy to have a discussion on those.
Yeah, just give me. Okay, so I'll start with the questions right away. From a student's perspective, for us, technically, how do we get access to getting an opportunity to working in a company like Amazon or Google?
Got it. I think the first, let's take a step back here, right? Let's not quickly jump onto Amazon or Google. These are just the brand names, right? Let's just figure out like why. So it's important to have a first kind of a right profile in your mind, right? So my suggestion to everybody is Google or Amazon are just the brand names, guys, right? These brand names, generally, you will get a lot of roles in these brand names, but that's not mandatory that all these roles are aligned to your focus area and your target roles, right? So it's first important to figure out a role which suits your interest, and then basically goes ahead and shortlist the companies, right? Now, let's take an example that you shortlist a role and you find, say it's a data science role, right? Now you find that it's a data science role and you want to apply in Amazon. What's the next step, right? There is no say shortcut to it. So by the way, Amazon already has a career page available. All the big companies like MNCs all have a career page available, right? You can go and search over Google, you will find, you can create profiles and apply to it, right? But the problem statement is that most of the times you don't get a call when you apply for it, right? There you find the benefit of building a network, right? There you find a point of benefiting, like how can you basically get benefited from your alumni network? Add a lot of people. So by the way, there is one more senior person. So 2 years junior to me, she's also part of Google. There are multiple Kirodians which are part of Google right now. There are multiple Kirodians which are part of Amazon right now, right? So build your network, right? Once you reach out to your seniors, your alumni, they would never say no to you, by the way, right? Trust me, like 90% of the time you will see an enthusiastic response coming out from them saying that, yes, I'll directly reach out to the HR and send across your profiles. Or I will share a referral link with you, go ahead and apply it. Or they will share recommendations also that you can tweak your resume, not from, right now there are something which are missing in the resume. These are definitely required, right? How to apply? First is build a career profiles on these websites or the larger companies, figure out the rules for yourself. Second is build network and see that how can your alumni network basically helps you in getting through the door for these opportunities. If that answers Niskarsh, I can, if any follow-ups are there, I can keep going on that.
Yeah, so I was actually taking down notes. Thanks for that. So I think that's a great thing. So could you elaborate on how do we actually network effectively? Because that's the current dilemma of students, right? So what happens most of the time is, so we get to add a bunch of people in our networks, and somehow we get to stay connected with them. But the problem arises when we have to ask for help. That's the thing, right? How do you suggest we go about it and actually ask people for help, and let's say for internships and jobs and everything?
Got it. No, I think that's a very fair question. I'll quickly give you a glimpse how I manage my LinkedIn network right now. I congratulate everybody on their work anniversaries. There are 1,800 people in my network right now. Every day I log into LinkedIn for at least half an hour. I congratulate whoever is completing the job anniversaries. I wish happy birthdays to everybody who is there in my network. Right now, I'm not saying that you guys should do what I am doing right now. Right? What I'm saying is that if you are, by the way, being from Google, also you guys must be seeing that people must be replying to Vikas. No, that's not the case. I only receive response from not more than 5% people, even when I'm wishing happy birthday to them over LinkedIn. Right? While they are part of my network, they are part of my 1,800 network, still I only receive response from not more than 5%. But that's okay, right? Because that's something that you are doing to build your network. Even if somebody is not wishing you back, that's completely okay. It's a professional network, guys, right? We have to understand the response rate cannot be 100%, right? And over the period, right, once you keep doing it, you will start finding that person being super helpful. Someday somebody reaches out to you, tells you that there is an opportunity, you want to go ahead and do it. That's what happens most of the time, right? Do something, be active there, but don't expect 100% response. That's what I'm saying. And how to reach out is basically, don't reach out directly asking for help. Don't reach out, tell them that, can you help me with internship? No, that's not the area. Just consider yourself into their position, right? If tomorrow somebody sends you a message that Nishkarsh or Rachit or whoever I'm seeing over the call, that I'm sending a message saying that, can you help me with internship? This person doesn't have any context who you are. This person doesn't know what you have done in the past, right? Why should somebody help you with the internship? They are not even aware about you, who you are, right? So it's completely fair if somebody is not replying to that. You have to basically build a good reputation with that person. Ask for a mentorship from that person, 10 minutes, 15 minutes over a call or over email, or ask what kind of profiles they're getting into. what exactly they're doing in a day-to-day work in that profile, if that suits you, right? Build a relationship first, then go and ask for a help. Directly asking for a help without any kind of a context, you will not receive response from 99.9% of the people, right? So it's super important to set some context, build network, and then go and ask for help. And don't hesitate, by the way, right? One thing which I've seen among people in the past is that when they go and ask for help, they feel that why should I even ask for it? Like somebody will say no to it. But if you're not asking help from anyone, right, it's anyways a no. It's anyways that nobody is going to reach out to you and say that, Nishkarsh, I want to help you, right? That's not going to happen. You have to have reach out to that person to basically ask for a help, right? Otherwise, how will the person know about you? How will the person, it's not going to go do a black magic tomorrow and tell you, yes, you needed help. Hello, Nishkarsh, how are you? I can help you out with internship. No, right? We have to understand that's not going to happen. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's all
Yeah,
from my end on that.
yeah, that really answers the question. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, so sorry for the latency on my part, because I am taking down notes as well. So yeah. Okay, next question. How do you build your CV to directly get a job in Amazon just after graduation? I don't think so this is possible, but I'll leave it up to you.
By the way, nothing is impossible. Let's just first figure it out. Nothing is impossible. I have seen people working with zero experience also in Amazon, right? There are multiple level of roles available. A lot of these companies have leveling guidelines, which is L2, L3, L4, L5. As the level increases, your seniority in the company also increases, right? So nothing is impossible. The only Uber thing is like how you prove yourself as a fit to that role, right? Now, put yourself in the shoe of an interviewer, right? Tomorrow, you are in Amazon, you wanted to hire 10 people in your team, right? It's a sales role, right? Now, the person are getting applications from 100 people right now, right? He has to basically shortlist 10 resumes out of 100 and then interview all 10, right? It's not something that he would interview all 100, then they'll select. They will definitely shortlist basis your resume. That's the first level of shortlisting that will happen at his end or HR's end, right? What I have seen from my own experience in the past is these HRs are very biased towards the college, biased towards the education in the past, right? But that's not generally the case with the hiring managers, right? Hiring managers usually expect good college plus a good diversification, right? When I'm saying diversification basically means how dynamic you are, right? What different things have you done in your life, right? Are you a single trajectory person that if I give you one single task today, you keep doing it and you are done with it? Or are you a person who basically keeps shifting and likes that change, likes to adapt things quickly, right? So they also see what kind of diverse background that you have, what you have done in the past. So how to build your resume, there is no right or wrong structure, by the way. It is just that it has to be alteration needs to be done basis the role that you are applying. And I have seen people building 10 different resumes, applying for 10 different job profiles, right? Trust me, all 10 resumes carry similar content. There is no differently thing that they have done. It is just the way to put 10 different things into 10 different ways in 10 different resumes, right? For example, I'll give you a quick glimpse of it. Say it's a sales role, right? And you are preparing a resume talking about how you are good with the C-level management stakeholders when you are selling something to them, right? Now, say you are applying for an account management kind of a role where you don't have to do direct sales, but you have to still manage somebody's account and sell them products, goes on and year, right? So now he will write the similar thing, C-level thing, in a very different manner. What he'll do is the person will write saying that I have managed these 10 accounts in the past. I have been really good in providing an incremental value to these advertisers in the past, right? Now, what will happen is the similar thing has been tweaked in a different manner, which is makes it a role relevant, right? And now the interviewer knows what you have done, which is similar to the role, right? So my point is, I'm not saying you build 10 resumes. What I'm saying is figure out what suits for you, what you are really interested in, and build 2 to 3 resumes across that and apply to those specific roles which you are really interested in, right? Don't apply everywhere, by the way. That's another thing that sometimes what we do is we end up applying everywhere, right? Don't do that. Don't do that mistake. Figure out what is important for what do you want to do, then only go ahead and do it. And sharing my personal experience, by the way, this might also give you a little bit of glimpse what mistakes I have done in the past. Google was the first company in the year 2010-11 which came to our campus, right? So there were 60 people who sat. I was the placement head that time. There were 60 people who sat for that interview. For the first round, I'm saying, not interview, for the first elimination round. 55 people got selected for the second round. 5 people got rejected. I was among the last 5, right? That was the first company in the year 2010-11. I immediately realized that there is something missing in me, which is not suiting well. I need to be confident. I need to go back and do it. And by the way, I was the placement head, right? So it's like placement had got rejected on the very first day in the very first company who he only brought that company to the campus, right? But I didn't feel bad about it because what I did is I immediately started applying to companies in the central placement cell. I went on and built my confidence. I almost interviewed 10 different companies in central placement cell. I keep on sitting in those interviews. And then I started building my confidence. No, I think this is working out, right? Now I know how I need to present myself in front of the interviewer, right? How I need to present my story in front of the interviewer. That's how I learned, basically, right? So don't hesitate to learn, right? You cannot be perfect, guys. You cannot learn. You cannot have everything what an interviewer expects out of you. You have to learn. It's an ever-going process, right? So my point is figure out good roles for yourself, goes ahead and build resumes around it, prepare a story for yourself, present that story well, practice that story before you go to the interviews, and then showcase this story as a movie, as a film which makes sense for the interviewer from the role standpoint.
I think that's so okay. So yeah, I think that was a great answer, number one. Number two, so anyone who wants to ask their questions right now, they can type it in the chat box. We'll take up the questions that were posted earlier on because that's what we got first. And we'll take up the questions in the chat box which are being posted currently. So yeah, everyone in the meet, feel free to post your questions in the chat box. We'll take it up. Okay, so Vikas, moving on to the next question. It's an interesting one though. How is a day in your Google life look like? I mean, how does your normal day look like?
By the way, it's how my Google day looks like is I start my day with emails, right? So when you open up your inbox in the morning, you will find almost 70, 80 emails which are pending to be responded. That's how a typical Google day looks like. And even if you go ahead and apply to gets jobs tomorrow, say for example you are working with a company, this will be a similar situation everywhere, right? An important thing that you will get so much engaged in your data role if you will find time to
Your voice is breaking, Vikas.
people ends up doing this. Yeah, I'm audible now.
I think it's again because of the camera. Try switching it off once and
yeah,
now it's
is it audible?
It's very audible now.
Sorry. So what I was telling was that there could be 90% of the people does this mistake, by the way. I myself did it in my initial years where I used to get so much into my role that I'm not able to take time for myself, right? What is super important in this entire thing is that how are you upskilling yourself? One is the core role, which is company expects you to do. Second is also, you are not something which is only tied up the company which you are working for. Like you are also are responsible for your own career, which could be outside that organization also, right? So you have to spend enough amount of time reading, learning new skills, which really makes sense for you, which you really feel confident about, right? To give you a quick example, right? I personally love trading. right? I personally am investing into equity markets, direct equity markets for the last 13 years. Whenever I'm free, right, I keep reading articles, global articles, Indian stock markets, what's happening and what's not happening. Because that's something which is super, and that's something I really like doing it, right? And it could be vanished in a day-to-day work, right? It could be vanished that you can work not 10 hours, now 13 hours tomorrow, doing the same work again and again. That's a typical day looks like when you're working profile, but it's in your hands to go ahead and change it, right? Google Day typically looks similar only, where you'd have multiple things to do over the 10 hours, 12 hours period, but that's something which is super important to understand. And while you guys are in a very initial stage of your career, right? If you see this slide which is presented right now, you see there is a decline, right? It's in the downward trajectory. CEO ma'am understands this, and I'm sure like a lot of these people, a lot of you people also understand the downward curve. Why I have put it in a downward curve is the reason is because while I've ended up achieving all these things in my life, I missed on one thing, which is I feel is which was the major thing in my life, which was the work-life balance. I never paid attention to it, and this is something that's why it's a downward trajectory, because that is super, super important, right? Trust me, like it's super easy to get involved in the outside world, in the corporate world, keep getting success all the time, keep getting involved yourself into 100 of things, running the rat race which is available. How can you maintain a fine balance between the personal and the professional life is also super, super important in this age, right? So everybody has to understand that thing and move forward, right? If you are able to do that from the day one, trust me that you guys will be super, super successful in this corporate world. Otherwise, you will struggle 6 years, 8 years, 10 years down the line, and then you have to start reworking on that. A personal tip, work on that. I haven't been great at it. Right now, I'm trying to be, but I'm still not even at 40% right now.
Okay, key takeaways we
And
need to
we can also take questions from the chat box. A lot of people are asking it. So
yeah, sure. I mean, we will take up the questions from the chat box. I'm just finishing one set of questions, then we'll move on to the next set of questions.
okay, great.
Oh,
No worries. Please go.
Yeah, just a quick trivia thing. Rachit here, he's the president of Finance and Investment Cell, so he's also a trader and he's very good at it, honestly. So, yeah. And that.
Oh, wow. So that would be a super interesting conversation in the future.
So, yeah, that being said, I'll move on to the next one. Again, so this question is oriented to the skills you have, the upskilling part. Answer it, but anyway, what skills should we possess to have a great journey in the corporate?
By the way, there is no one single skill which could basically help you in getting through that corporate journey. Right? It also depends upon the kind of role that you are doing. It also depends your aspirations. It also depends upon company's expectation from you, right? One skill which I feel could help you survive in the long term in the corporate world is that you have to really maintain the balance. I have seen people in my life which have worked aggressively for the first 5 years in the corporate world, went to great positions, and 5 years down the line, they realized they don't want to do this. And they ended up quitting the jobs. Understand long-term versus short-term. It's not a rat race, right? It's something like whosoever survives for the next 30 years, right? So you have to run in a way which doesn't make you feel burnt out, right? So what exactly you could basically manage only is known to you. So do it cautiously. Do it by defining that it's a long-term journey. It's not a short-term sprint, which is of 2 to 3 years, right? And work accordingly and set the right expectations for yourself as well as the role that you are doing, and create some kind of a career trajectory for yourself that you want to do XYZ things over the next 10 years. But be flexible also with that. Don't get so much adamant that you have written this and you wanted to achieve this, right? It's okay to get failures in life, and 90% of the times you will fail, but that's okay because learning is more important than getting a failure, right? Learn from those failures and then move forward. That's something which will always happen. Trust me, guys. Like I have failed multiple times. I'll give you one quick instance. I left Amazon in the year 2019. I again got a call from Amazon in the year 2020 for a different role, right? I got rejected for that role. I worked in that company for almost 20. I got promoted. I still got rejected for the role in the 2020 in the next 1 year itself, right? It's not something that you were not able to do something when you got rejected. It is something that that role might not be fit for your own achievements so far, right? Which is good for you if you got rejected for that, because otherwise you will end up struggling for those. Even if you get through those roles, you will not like it. Tomorrow you will feel that you're not enjoying it, right? So it's important to learn from your failures.
Okay, I think I get it. So that was a great answer. I mean, it was super insightful, to be honest. Okay, so yeah, okay. So again, this one is based on goals, but I'll ask it in any which way. What are the top skills which one must develop to get into Google or Amazon, and what should be your short-term goals and long-term goals for the same?
Again, so guys, trust me, Google and Amazon are just the brand names. Don't push yourself into these brand names just because they pay good amount of money. The money will automatically flow in your life if you're doing great jobs, if you're doing great profiles, if you're learning consistently. There are hundred of startups which are available these days, which are funded startups, which provide great opportunities, which provide great learning experiences and direct jobs in terms of direct learning experiences. Google and Amazon being the larger organizations, you will find a lot of roles which are majorly the back-end roles, right? Which are majorly the roles where you guys have to support some other teams. On the other hand, if you end up joining some great startups which are coming up, you might end up working on a very direct, impactful project where your work would be easily recognized. And by the way, they pay more than what Google and Amazon pays to you, right? So first of all, remove this entire thing that Google or Amazon are great brands. We have to get into it. While it's a great aspiration to have, but there are enough and more companies in the market which provides better opportunities than both these companies or any MNCs, right? Figure out, read about it, you will understand more. Now, how will you get it? Even if you have aspired for to become an Amazonian, what is important is Amazon's interviews are generally based upon 14 principles. Search on Google 14 principles of Amazon. You will find a list of these 14 principles. Every role in Amazon, basis your experience, expects a different kind of principle to be basically a principal fitment for you. For example, one of the top principles in Amazon is the customer obsession. Everything starts customer backwards, right? So they might end up asking you in the interviews that quote one example where you felt that uh, you have done great things for the customer and that led to some great impact for the customers, right? So all the questions would be around those principles only, where you have to prove yourself that you are right fit for the company basis those principles. Learn those principles by heart for Amazon and you will be through for that. Now, similar thing for Google also. Google, instead of a 14, they have 4 principles, 4 different kind of a knowledge areas where they talk about role related knowledge. Whichever role you are applying for, are you fit for it or not? One is the Googliness also, which is like, are you fit for the Google culture or not, right? And similar way, there are 2 more. My point is, right, whenever you are applying for these top MNCs, everybody has a very set standard. If you search Google, you will find a lot of blogs which are talking about it. It's super easy to basically understand what they're expecting out of you, right? So read about it, go prepared. And I will also share, by the way, with Nishkarsh after this call, there is one very great case study book which I always follow in my life, which is a McKinsey case study book. While I'm not sure how important it is at a graduation level, but at least I have read that book during my while I was doing my MBA, and that has really helped in defining and refining my approach over the years, right? When I'm saying approach, it's a case study based. For example, in one of the interviews in Google, somebody asked me that uh, there is a sales drop in your company and you are the head of it in 1 quarter. How will you basically figure this situation out in the next quarter? Now, what is important is not the answer. What is important is how you're approaching this problem and at what levels, at how deeply you are going into the problem to understand why this even happened, And then how are you resolving it? How many approaches you have suggested to it? How deeper can you go to each of these approaches that you have talked about? Don't jump onto conclusions. None of the interviews expect you to answer. Interviews expect you to have discussion on these approaches. Right? So really you in going to share that book with you guys after this, and you might want to circulate it as well across everybody. It might be a good read for all of you.
Thank you so much for that, Vikas. So this is one of the last questions we have in the first set of questions. Why don't Indian students focus more on financial literacy or financial independency?
I wouldn't agree with that, first of all, because I feel, first of all, it also depends upon the interest. If I understand the question correctly, what you're saying is that why uh, they don't manage their personal finances themselves. Nishkash, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm understanding the question correctly.
No, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. The question is basically targeting the psychology of us Indian students, and it's trying to ask, basically in a broader sense, would you answer that whether or not we have that capability of becoming financially independent at an early stage? Because seeing the current trend, that's not the case, right? If we take
Um,
countries like US, so I'll take the main example, right? So in US, students have to take up student loans at the age of 18, and then they have to manage their college expenses, their living expenses. So basically, parents don't support them after the age of 18, and they have to do everything through student loans and like all of those things. But that's not the culture in India, right? So we are supported until the age of 22, 23. So I think that's what the question is asking, whether or not we have that ability to become financially independent and have that financial literacy to become, financially
yeah, yeah.
independent at this stage.
Got the question correctly. Thank you so much for explaining, Nishkash. One thing is it's extremely personal to person. I can only talk about myself right here because, by the way, guys, I was independent at the age of 20, right? Whatever, I stopped taking money from my home while I was in my third year of college. The reason is I started earning money by uh, teaching students in terms of home tuitions, right? I have earned money myself in my third year of college. I used to go to different places in Delhi to teach people, to teach students, fifth standard, sixth standard, and I used to earn 3,000 rupees. I remember from teaching two subjects 15 times in a month, right? It's something like which is completely personal, right? For example, I wanted to be financially independent, and hence I started doing it. If you talk about there are no opportunities in India for that, I wouldn't agree to it, right? I see that there are opportunities, there are multiple opportunities available in India. Throughout my life, whatever I have studied myself, right? I have taken loans. Uh, I have earned a lot of money from the international websites also, where I've used to teach students using those websites. I used to get $20 an hour on those websites, right? I used to spend at least 3 nights in a week, 10 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours teaching those foreign students as well, right? It's a completely personal decision, personal call. If you are interested, if you really want to be financially independent, you will find a way to it. It's not something which is super tough in India. And looking at the number of opportunities that are there in India, I don't think so. That's something which is not possible. Definitely a challenging, definitely difficult, but not something which is impossible.
So just one small side question to the thing you said. So I mean, making money and all of those things. Does that require an entrepreneurial mindset every time, or is it something that it could come naturally to you?
So I think it doesn't require an entrepreneurial mindset. What it requires is the need, right? And the dedication. For example, I personally don't want my parents to give me money all the time, right? So and I ended up finding means to it. I ended up finding like how can we become a financial independent in that way. My only point is it's something like which when it comes to you will start figuring out a way, and you will definitely figure out a way, right? So if you feel that something is okay for you, it's working out, you might not be giving 100% to it also. So I completely put it on a dedication and the need that you have.
Okay, I think I get. So that answers my question. So now we'll pick up the questions from the chat box. First one is from Saubhagya, and he wants to ask that in the market where plethora of skills are there to learn, how to distinguish which skills to go for and which ones we can leave behind so that they can practically help us, maximizing our career growth.
I think skills also is do a backward calculation to it first, right? Write it on a paper. What do you want to do in the next 5 years, right? Because this also, I understand your question here, because when I used to be in your position, I was staying among people who were doing multiple things at a point of time, and I used to feel always that uh, this person is doing something. Am I missing on something? Like, it's like feeling of missing on something. Like, we call it FOMO, fear of missing out. Don't get into that trap, guys. I'm telling you, you guys consider yourself to be the super confident you are the best what you're doing, right? And keep working towards a long-term growth for your own knowledge. Don't get into the trap of somebody else is doing something, I also have to do it. No, do it only if it makes sense to you, right? Only if it helps you in achieving a short-term or a long-term goal. Otherwise, completely ignore it. It's very easy to drive yourself into directions what people are asking you to do. Very, very easy, because that also gives you a lot of, I would say, societal recognition, right? Don't fall into that trap. That's something which is not at all required, right? And what
Thank you for
skills to
that.
pick, what skills to drop, completely depends upon your long-term and short. And
So
if that answers the
yeah, I mean, so the
questions,
one
yeah,
part,
you have a question also you want.
could you repeat that? I think your voice broke off. Am I audible?
Hello. Hello. Am I audible, Nishkash?
Yeah, Vikas. So you're audible now. So the last sentence you said, I
Hello.
think your voice broke. Can you hear me, Vikas?
Yeah, you are audible, Nishkash. Now. You're audible.
Perfect. I think there's somewhat of a lag, so we'll just ignore it. So I was saying, so one part of your answer actually highlighted everything. So that was the FOMO, the fear of missing out in students. So I think that's very important to learn that we shouldn't fall for FOMOs. Apart from that, I'll move on to the next question now. So it's a question by Devesh. He's asking, sales is considered one of the most important skills. And so basically he wants to learn how can we develop this skill of sales.
Before that, I think there's one more question by Chandni, Nishkash. If you want to go ahead with that first, and then we can move on to the Devesh's questions as well.
I think Devesh asked his, so it's Saubhagya, Devesh, and then Chandni.
Oh, okay. I think it
And
is
then
in a
it's
different
Devanshi.
format for me. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Great. So sales, Devesh, I think when I used to say go talk about sales, right? I used to talk about that you should know how to sell, right? Now it's not something which is a skill only required for a sales role, right? Trust me, when you will enter into any kind of a role in the future, again you have to sell yourself everywhere, right? You have to sell yourself in front of your teachers, you have to sell yourself in front of your manager, you have to sell yourself to the company, you have to sell yourself to your parents, you have to sell yourself to your wife as well, right? You will find it humorous, but you have to sell yourself everywhere in the future, right? It's something which you have to learn whether you are a part of sales or you are not a part of sales. And what will help being a good salesperson is the storytelling, right? You have to have good storytelling skills, and this is not basically you're gonna learn overnight. This is something you will keep practicing and you will keep learning. And when I'm storytelling, just keyword, guys, storytelling means go back and talk to the college that there are sessions. Simply tell that there are sessions which are happening building career paths. Students are joining, they are learning, right? That's a simple way of putting it across. Now, if you want to tell it as a story, you can say that we realized the situation that students are struggling. They want some kind of a mentorship. We recognize that how can we provide this mentorship in multiple ways. One of the ways that we decided is that how can we basically utilize and alumni network. So you started building the alumni network on that thing where to talk about multiple things, what they are experienced in life, right? There are 30 people who joined those sessions, the 100 got out of these sessions. This is a full plethora of things that you have created for yourself. Now you're going to create a newsletter in surplus community. So ending out of it, right? So my point is that one way of putting it in a simple term that you have done something. Second is to story around and then which will basically help each one of you or everybody to understand what you have done, right? It's important to have a selling show really to be a good sales guy in the future.
Okay, I think I get it. So I hope Devesh that answers your question. We'll move on to, okay, he does get it. So we'll move on to the next question, which says, it's by Chandni. And so basically she's trying to ask, what to do if you're confused about which role you're a great fit for, and how do you figure out which role suits you?
I think if you are confused about something, Chandni, I think it's it's super difficult for somebody. So my point is like I wasn't aware, by the way, what I wanted to do in life. Right? Let me be honest here. It's just the say overall things I kept on doing. I kept on applying. I kept on doing. Then I kept on realizing this is not something which I want to do. Right? It's okay not to know what you want to do, but it's super important to know what you don't want to do. Right? So my point is, right, you have to have a list of things which you feel you would never be interested into, right? And you never want to get. For example, I know for myself, I would never want myself to get into some vendor roles in my own in the current organization, right? I am sure I never want myself to get into the support roles in future in the current organization, right? But I don't know what I want, right? But that's okay. If you are good with the elimination practice, you will find your interesting the roles basically which will suit your interest, right? So it's okay to have this problem, but it's not okay to have a problem where you say I don't know what I don't want also. If that answers, Chandni, you can have a follow-up questions also if you want.
Okay, so we're getting more questions, so I'll quickly move on to the next one as well. So the next question is by Devanshi. So in Google, so she's trying to ask that in Google or such other tech companies, mostly tech job names are SDE. I don't know what that means, to be honest. So what roles are available for commerce graduates? So what's the hiring cycle, and when do we start preparation, and through what sources? I think you've answered most of it, so I'll leave it up to you again.
Yeah. So I think just wanted to ask a follow-up question. Is the Google still coming to campus right now currently for the roles?
So I'm a first year student. I have no idea about it. So maybe someone from the third year could pick this question up.
Okay.
No, it's not.
So we will have this discussion later because in my time Google used to come and it used to hire at a good position with obviously a package, and later on I know a lot of Kirodians till 2013 which are part of Google right now, right? So I'm not sure why they have stopped coming to campus now, but we'll figure it out later. But to answer you, Google roles are majorly for the people with the engineering backgrounds, right? There are a lot of roles in Google which are support roles, tech roles, smaller support roles, sales roles, which are available to the commerce graduates. And by the way, Google really respects diversity. Google really respects when you are coming from a commerce background and you have done multiple things. That was the reason also why Google used to come to all the major campuses during my time, right? I am not sure what led to the break of that relationship, but that's always a stage. But what you should definitely do is to read about the 4 things which I've spoken about, saying that will really help you in interviews, right? And if Google is not coming to your campus, you are always feel free to apply to those roles, right? It's easily available at careers.google.com. You can go create profiles and apply. If you need help in understanding those roles, please feel free to reach out to me at any point of time.
Yeah, so about that, can you leave your email ID or LinkedIn address so that we can follow you?
Yeah. I am just sharing my personal email ID here, not the corporate
Thank you so
one.
much.
People can drop me an email. I'll be happy to respond to your queries also on that.
Thank you.
There is I'm interrupting you, Nishkash. There is a question in the chat box by Dhuman. Dhuman, please turn on your camera. I would introduce you to Vikas. Vikas is one of your juniors who is helping me in building up this network.
Just a minute.
Hi, Dhuman. Nice to hear from you.
Hey, hi, Vikas. I just joined the session 5 minutes ago, and there were some very insightful answers from you.
He's an investment banker
Thank
and
you.
pursuing CL, likely to complete it this November.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Hi, Vikas.
Thank you so much for supporting Seema ma'am in this. This is like a great initiative. And I'm just waiting for everybody to get interacted in starting with the process, what we are finally planning to achieve as a goal.
We're also glad that you guys are seniors, like you have joined us, and you will be taking this forward. Thank you so much to you as well.
And you raised one question. I read
You
it
can
in the
ask the
chat
question
box.
directly. You can go ahead.
Yeah.
I think Nishkash, you can continue now.
Yeah, thanks for that. So because I'll be continuing with the question. So the question, addressed to you by Human was, what factors do you think of before making any important decisions, be it in professional life or be it in your personal life?
I think I don't want to comment like how everybody should conduct it, but for me, like what I follow is the long-term approach. Like whatever I'm doing today, right? I always try to evaluate both short-term and long-term benefits of that, right? If I feel that this thing is only going to help me in short-term, not in the long-term, I personally take a call basis the time that I have, right? And if I feel this thing is definitely going to help me in the long-term also, I figure out my time and try to adjust my calendar accordingly, right? So my point is, right, you should, I personally evaluate the opportunities and the impact of it. And in fact, suggest you guys also to start following the impact framework, right? Whenever something comes in front of you, just figure out, just feel, write it on a paper. This really helps in terms of defining the impact of it.
Okay, I think, so I get it. I hope that answers Dhuman's question. So we'll move on to the next one until then. It's by Priyanshi Mittal. Let me see if I have. Yeah, so our next question is by Priyanshi Mittal, and she's asking, supposedly we don't end up in a company we want to work for right after graduation. So should we still keep looking for companies to work in, or should we pursue our post-graduation, that is MBA or master's, whatever we want to do?
I think that's a great question, Priyanshi. First of all, this is a situation that I've also faced in my life. When I entered Futures First, I desperately wanted to do that job. But 2 years down the line, I realized this is something which I don't want to do over the long period, right? So the question in front of me was, then what do I want to do next? Should I shift companies, or should I go for MBA, or should I go for something else, right? That was the reason, by the way, I took a break also, which I was speaking about earlier, right? For almost 1.5 years to identify what I wanted to do. My suggestion to you is that one thing is the company. Whenever I used to take call, right, in my early years of life, I also used to take call on the basis of the brand name, right? Trust me, you should not take these calls basis the name of the company. This is the profile of the company that you are doing. It's like you are getting BCom honors in Purdue College and maybe BCom program in Hansraj College, right? When you were applying for Delhi University, you must be having a lot of these, like where you were taking a different course in some other college and a good course and a normal course in Florida, and you ended up taking a call which course you want to opt or which college you want to opt, right? Then there was a fair choice between a college and say the role. My suggestion here is pay a lot of respect, pay a lot of weightage to the role instead of the company, right? Because if you are good with the role that you get into and you are interested, there is 99% chance you will end up landing in that MNC or a great company which you really aspire for at a later stage, right? But on the other hand, if you land up in a company which you are not interested in role, then you might be in a difficult situation, because in those 2 years, whatever you will learn, you might not able to take the role related knowledge into the other company, and then you will start from zero in the next company, right? So the call is completely upon you guys that whether you want to go ahead and do MBA or not. My understanding is don't do MBA just because you want all the Indians are doing MBA after graduation, right? Do it from some kind of a learning perspective, that what do you want to achieve from these 2 years. There is an opportunity cost, by the way, when you're doing MBA. You are not earning for those 2 years, you are learning something in those 2 years, you are paying money for it. Don't do it just because society is asking you to do MBA, right? Do it because you want to learn some management skills and then move forward. The kind of job that you expect before MBA, you will definitely, by the way, the person which I'm talking about, her name is Surbhi Verma, right? She's a 2013 pass out from Todimal College. She joined Google at a lower role when Google came to her campus in 2013. Right now, she's one level above to me in Google, right? And in 8 years of experience, right, I have 2 extra years of experience as compared to her, but she's still at one upper level without MBA in Google. My own brother, he's an IIT Roorkee pass out. He has never done MBA. Right now, he's the product head in Paytm. Right? It's not something which is super important to do in MBA. Right? It's not something that's going to give you a 100% hike or a 200% hike. You can do wonders after graduation also, right? So remove this myth in your mind saying that MBA could give you a better package or something. No, that's not the case. Don't do MBA just because you want higher packages. Do MBA if it makes sense to you, if you feel that that's going to add value to your life.
Okay, I think so that drives home the point. We need to constantly upskill and look out for opportunities that we love. And with that, I think we come to the conclusion of all the answers, and yeah, we have no more questions. So I think, yeah, that concludes the Q&A section, and thank you for all the answers, Vikas. So this was technically a very exceptionally insightful talk. And I mean, I really, not just me, all of the students are really appreciating your line of work, and we're kind of fascinated with it, to be honest. Again, thank you so much for answering all our questions and making this super fun and engaging. And yeah, I think with that, we'll conclude today's talk.
No, I think thank you so much for providing this opportunity. Thanks to Seema ma'am. Thanks to Nishkarsh, to you for doing all the backend tasks. I personally really like interacting with students because I've been on the other side for almost 3 years while I was part of college. So I understand your questions. I understand your concerns. You guys are always, please feel free to drop me an email if you have any questions, queries, you need any kind of a help. I'll be happy to answer over the emails. Or you can also reach out to me over the phone call as well. We can set up some time and have a discussion on it.
Yeah, I think so. We will be definitely pursuing your email ID and LinkedIn profile after this for all the help we can get. So that's for sure, and that's a promise from our end. And yeah, I think we will conclude today's event with that.
Thank you very much for sparing time for us. We are really thankful. And I think we'll keep inviting you constantly, and you will be a part of our network on permanent basis, I would say. Right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dhuman, for joining us.
Thanks everyone for staying.
Thank you so much, Vikas. Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone. Thanks everyone for giving so much of time. Thank you for joining.